It was a little slow going at first after that first show, and by the time we had started doing the children's stuff, you know, like audiences kept picking up, and people were very, Dorchester as a community was very receptive and very happy to have us, and I think we have gained favorability within the community, I think, in our short time there, and now we're working on what we can do to sort of gently remind people, like, we're still here. We didn't go anywhere. But that is a very familiar story, you know, for a lot of people right now. Like, there's no salaries right now. As of right now, like, what we do differently is we do pay all of our artists, all of our technicians. Everybody involved in a show gets paid, but it's really, you get one check and it's boom when the show's done. You know, that was part of our mission statement was, you know, all actors, technicians, everybody involved gets compensated, treated fairly, and all this kind of thing. And that sort of allows, you know, it incentivizes people to come back. You know, your time is going to be worth it. I mean, nobody's paying their rent with what they're paying them, but I mean, like, like we try to cover menial costs that it takes to be involved in something like this. The way I see the future is that when we do open back up, whether or not this is something we need to do, what I personally feel would be the best plan, because the theater has always been a luxury. It's kind of hard for me to say that because it's like, yes, it is deemed as a luxury expense, but I always consider it an emotional necessity. People always need art. Like, what are people doing right now? They're at home watching Netflix, and they are probably rewatching their favorite thing for the 5th time in the last 16 weeks, or how, I've lost count of how long this has gone on. But you turn to art in times of distress, and so what I will be very aware of is the fact that people might want to return to the theater, but they might, you know, safety might be an issue. So I think originally for the first year at least, the plan is to come back in a limited capacity. We will be posting on all of our doors and everything, be like, hey, the show is this. There's this many actors in the show. There's this many technicians behind the scenes. So, and we've sold all 50 tickets tonight. So please be aware you will be in a room with, you know, say cast of 8, 3 people doing tech, 2 people doing front of house stuff. And it's like, there's going to be 62 people max. And, you know, it's a big room. You can all spread out. We spread out. There's not even going to be any second rows. We're just going to layer the chairs just sort of around so that, you know, nobody's accidentally coughing into the back of anyone's neck, because that is the #1 sound I miss in the theater, is the errant cough. And now that's sort of like a death knell. You won't be able to go back to the theater and hear somebody go like, without everyone just whipping their head around. But I do know we had a show on the docket that was going to be a hard sell, but and Laura's directing that one, which is called The Arkansas Bear, and it is one of the most award-winningest pieces of children's theater that is not actually derived from any basis. It's not based on any story. Like, it's a completely original concept, and the show is about an 11-year-old girl who is struggling to cope with the fact that her grandfather is about to pass away. And so originally I had thought, I was like, well, it's going to be a hard sell, but if Laura wants to do it, you know, I'm not going to tell anybody not to do what they want to do. And I love that script very much, but from a sales standpoint, a little difficult. Now, suddenly very timely. And speaking about such a heavy subject matter can be sort of a nice way to reintroduce audiences, especially in a family-friendly setting. Can be a nice way to reintroduce audiences to the theater. It's like, hey, there's a lot going on, a lot of things that are hard to explain to family, friends, your children. You know, this might be a safe place to talk about it. 50 people a night or so. So that, no matter what time we do go back to what we were doing, there's not a doubt in my mind that that'll be sort of what we open back up with. Do our best to let people come back and just be like, hey, we're here for you, and we're not going anywhere.